What's up, Ada Nation? Welcome to Dapp Central, your home for everything blockchain and crypto. As a part of today's interview, it's going to be a jam-packed one focusing on Project Catalyst with 4 key contributors into the ecosystem. First, we're going to be jumping into some proposals for Maestro, an infrastructure provider here on Cardano, followed by zkFold aiming to provide zero-knowledge proofs here on Cardano. And then we're going to talk about Fluid Tokens, which has recently put out a proposal with gasless transactions taking place here on Cardano, also known as Babel fees. Last but definitely not least, we're going to be jumping into DropSpot and one of their proposals. They're going to be an NFT marketplace as well as a launchpad building here on Cardano. Now, before we jump into the proposals, I do want to go ahead and bring up the members here that are representing each of these projects in order for them to introduce themselves, but also introduce what their project is to you guys here in the Cardano community. So first and foremost, we've got Marvin Burton joining in and representing the Maestro protocol. Marvin, welcome along. How are you doing today?
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, doing great.
Awesome. Next, we've got Vardo, who's also going to be representing Maestro. Welcome aboard.
Hey,
How are
very
you,
nice to
Vardo?
meet you all. Glad to be here.
Thank you for joining us. We've also got Mateo coming in from Fluid Tokens. Hey, we meet there again.
Hey, Farid. Hey, guys. Happy to be here again.
Thank you for your time. We've got Vlad representing zkFold. Welcome along, Vlad.
Hi, everyone. Happy to be here.
Thank you. And last but not least, we've got Guido as well as Magic Flow representing the DropSpot platform. Hey guys, how you guys doing?
I'm really good, really good. You know, I think you're on mute still, mate, but thanks for having us and we're excited to be here.
Morning, all.
Perfect. Morning. All right, so maybe we kick things off with Marvin and Vardo. You guys kind of have the spotlight. You know, for anybody who's hearing about Maestro for the very first time, what's Maestro all about? And then we're going to jump into the other teams, kind of giving an introduction as to what they're doing, and then we'll dive deep or dive specific into you guys' proposals.
Yeah, sure. As an overview, so Maestro, like you say, is an infrastructure provider for Web3. Right now, focusing on Cardano. So we want to offer the complete Web3 stack for building. And so it's kind of like the basic API tools, the basic dev tooling to build really anything from wallets, dexes, DeFi, you name it, blockchain explorers. We interface a lot with the blockchain. We index it. We give you access to on-chain data, but we also allow you to interact with it and send transactions. And we have a number of also high-level tools like Dex API feeds and also like managed contracts we can go into later. But overall, think of it as like your all-in-one platform for building on Cardano.
Thank you. I appreciate the quick intro there. Next, we're going to move over to DropSpot. We've got Guido and Magic Flow. Do you guys mind just briefly introducing what DropSpot is and what it's providing to Cardano?
Yeah, sure. Morning, all. DropSpot's an NFT marketplace. We've been operating for a couple of years. We've really focused on a rich set of features, which gives people great tools in which to trade with. We also have a minting engine. So we help projects mint their collections and also help the one-to-one artists kind of self-mint through our creator launchpad.
Thank you. I appreciate that. Next up, we have zkFold. Vlad, you want to introduce what you guys are building here and bringing to Cardano?
Yeah, sure. So we are building layer 1 and layer 2 scaling solution for Cardano. We have a roadmap with several products, and our first product is called zkFold Symbolic. It will be a language for zero-knowledge smart contracts, high-level language that will help developers build zk-powered smart contracts.
Thank you very much. Next and last for introductions, we've got Mateo. We were actually just hanging out not too long ago, not only to talk about boosted staking, but also to talk about stablecoins. So you're the lead for Fluid Tokens. Do you mind explaining what Fluid Tokens is bringing for Cardano?
Of course, yes. So Fluid Tokens is one of the leading DeFi ecosystem at the moment on Cardano. We've been building for more than 2 years, creating 4 different protocols, the lending, renting, the pool lending, and the boosted stake. And we have several more upcoming that will come in this year, in the next month and weeks. And we are trying to basically create everything that the community needs to, create more powerful systems, protocols that are open to everyone and allow them to use their assets in better ways.
Thank you all for the quick and concise introductions. Next, let's go ahead and jump into the probably the most interesting part, at least for me, hopefully for the viewers as well. That's going to be the actual proposals, right? So let's go ahead and just give a huge thanks to everybody for joining us. But we're going to go ahead and just bring everybody down, and we're going to keep Marvin and Vardo up to dive a little bit deeper into their proposals. And so you guys go ahead and relax while we chat a little bit, and we'll get to you guys here in just a minute. And there we go. So Maestro is first, and Marvin, you've been on the channel here before. We've talked about Maestro. I'll go ahead and leave the link to that particular interview down below for the viewers who are hearing about Maestro for the very first time. You guys have 5 proposals for Project Catalyst. And maybe before we actually begin or go any further, just kind of recap the aim of Project Catalyst. So for anybody who's not aware of Project Catalyst, this is one of the easiest ways, well, not easiest, but this is one of the few ways projects on Cardano can actually get funded here to build utilizing the Cardano Treasury funds. So if you guys want to find out more about Project Catalyst, you can head over to the official website, which is available right now at projectcatalyst.io/funds/11. So now that we understand Project Catalyst, over to you, Marvin and Vardo. Can you guys kind of highlight what you guys are bringing to the table for funding round number 11?
Yeah, sure. I can walk you through our proposals. They're all in partnership with actually really great projects and elite team in the space. And also, Vardo, feel free to jump in at any time if there's a proposal you want to add some color to. But I'll just jump ahead with the first one with what we call our plug and play smart contract 2.0. So this is a great partnership with Anesthesia Labs, which in my opinion is probably the best audit firm in the space. They're really great guys, really talented developers in the smart contract space. And this is the second time around we're doing a proposal. So we had our first plug and play contracts that were successful in the previous fundraising, and we offer a marketplace of open source contracts for anyone to choose from and build on top. And then Maestro offers a managed API on top of that, so that if you don't want to build the off-chain code or manage the execution of interacting with your transactions, then Maestro allows you to kind of like abstract away all that through simple APIs, and that's what we call them plug and play contracts. And eventually they'll even have like UI components that allows you to literally add plugins to those contracts directly into your website without knowing anything about Web3. So it really lowers the barrier to entry. And so in this proposal, we're going to add 2 more contracts to our marketplace. The first one is a multi-sig contract. So that's one of the most popular contracts that even Anesthesia Labs have seen and audited, is ability to manage treasuries of funds through a multi-sig. And the other one is a subscription service. So allowing kind of offering a service that people can pay through recurring monthly amounts and allow you to like subscribe to a service by using a Cardano smart contract and pay in ADA. And so we think that kind of contract would be useful for a lot of applications. And so we're going to push that to add it to our marketplace.
One quick question before we jump into the next proposal. For anybody who's looking to sign up for Maestro services, do you mind breaking down how they can do that and then some of the pricing plans associated with Maestro?
Sure. Vardo, do you want to take that one?
Yeah, sure. We have a standard login procedure with OAuth. And so if you go to our gomaestro.org, you'll easily be able to navigate to the login page and register. And we also have a documentation page that you'll be able to see in the landing page that highlights both how to register and also how to use our APIs. So it's a kind of standard SaaS platform. You can generate an API key and then you'll have access to our APIs. As far as the payment structure and the subscriptions, so basically the free tier covers pretty much almost everything with limited usage per day. And paid subscriptions pretty much just give you more usage, more throughput for those really heavy hitting applications on mainnet. So yeah, it's really easy to register and test out all of our APIs. If you go to our landing page, you should easily navigate and be able to get started with Maestro as soon as possible.
Thank you there for that, Vardo. I've got one more question for you guys surrounding this first proposal before we move along into the next one. So I know that this announcement had come out, I think it was a couple months back around the time that we actually met in Colorado, I believe, with the plug and play contracts. Are there any that are live right now? And what can we expect in the future in terms of just the store? I mean, just like the addition of future plug and play smart contracts?
Yeah, it's a great question. So right now we have one API that's available for our linear vesting contract. So if you want to use our linear vesting on the marketplace, it's available through our API. We're also working in the background on a UI for it. So there'll be like a nice little UI you can add into your application. And we have like 3 more that are coming really soon as well that will be finalized. We're also doing a big revamp of our marketplace. So we're adding over 26 open source contracts to our smart contract marketplace in the next week or so, which I think people will really be impressed by how much content is out there for people to leverage and how much contracts are already available for people to build on top. So we have a lot in the backlog that we're pushing in the next couple of weeks and months. So stay tuned for more.
Thank you for that. Let's go ahead and move into the second proposal, which this one I think is going to be huge for interoperability. And I want to say, I think a lot of the Maestro proposals actually focus on interoperability. And Marvin and I are going to be sitting with another guest, which would be the Maya protocol, talk about the impact that has. But before we jump into Maya, the next one I want to talk about is going to be the WanChain and MetaMask proposal. So Marvin or Vardo, do you guys mind explaining, the premise and just how big of an impact, this particular proposal can have here on the Cardano community?
Yeah, so WanChain right now is probably like the number one bridge on Cardano. And under the hood, they are using Maestro to power, the Cardano side of their bridge. So we're very close with the WanChain team. They're very competent people. And so we wanted to kind of build something kind of to push the space a little bit. And so the idea is, how do we bring more people into the Cardano ecosystem? And there are over, 10 million wallets on the MetaMask, 10 million users using MetaMask right now. And it's a bit difficult if someone wants to buy just an NFT on Cardano. It would need to like bridge USDC, then convert that to ADA, and then buy an NFT and bring it back, right? And so that barrier to entry kind of prevents people from, even if they see something interesting on the Cardano ecosystem, to enter it. So with this proposal, we allow people to, within one transaction, trigger on MetaMask, trigger multiple transactions that allow them to bridge their assets, do a swap on a DEX like MinSwap, and then bring that swap token back into their MetaMask wallet without ever having to like create a Cardano wallet. And we think that really lowers the barrier to entry for people to get interested and curious into the Cardano ecosystem, and hopefully maybe get them to stay, right? But at the very least, it's a good way to bring more liquidity into the ecosystem and also allow people to come up with more creative applications. With that kind of foundation tool, it's going to be more like an SDK or an API that other tools, like even DropSpot or Fluid tokens could use themselves in their application. So think of it as like another tool in your toolbox that would allow to lure in, people with the MetaMask wallet into the Cardano ecosystem.
I have a quick question just to make sure that I understand how this is going to work. Let's say I've got a MetaMask wallet and I come into, for example, a lending and borrowing protocol on Cardano. Am I correct in understanding that I'll be able to, with this proposal implemented, connect that EVM wallet to the lending and borrowing protocol or the DEX or whatever the case is, make a transaction, and then receive something in my EVM-based wallet? For example, let's take a DEX. If I come and I connect my MetaMask to that DEX and I purchase a Cardano native asset, that asset, is that being wrapped through WanChain and then being sent back into my EVM wallet?
That's right, yes. But under the hood, there's a lot going on, right? There is what we call the Smart Beacon script. So that's actually what's developed by Anesthesia Labs in Fund 10. And that Smart Beacon script allows you to, whenever you deposit some asset at that script address, it will automatically trigger a interaction on a Dapp. So if that script is programmed to do a swap on MinSwap, whenever there's a token that arrives at that script address, it then triggers the routing script to then trigger a MinSwap swap. And then the return asset of the MinSwap swap will then land into a separate Smart Beacon script that will then trigger a bridge transaction. And so it's basically based on these trigger mechanisms that we can use using those Smart Beacon script that allows us to basically chain multiple interaction across multiple protocols without having the user involved in every transactions, and using the constraints of the contract to prevent assets from being misused, right? So it's still controlled by the contract. It cannot, either the transactions are swapped or they're returned to the user. There's nothing else that can happen. And that allows you to then trigger the bridging transaction back into the EVM wallet. And so the user only needs to trigger that initial transaction.
Yeah, that's really impressive to hear. It sounds like there's definitely, as you mentioned, a lot going on under the hood. But from an end user's perspective, they should only see, that initial transaction being made from their EVM wallet, and then whatever asset coming back in after all the bridges or all the bridging and purchases has been done utilizing the smart contracts that you just mentioned there. Let's keep the conversation moving into, more interoperability. I've got 2 additional proposals coming in from Maestro, which will be in collaboration with the Maya protocol. So I'll turn it back over to you, Marvin or Vardo, to kind of pick which one you want to dive into first and just kind of explain what the Maya protocol is as well.
Yeah, Vardo, do you want to explain the Maya protocol partnership?
Yeah, sure. Maya protocol is a fork of Thorchain. They consider it a friendly fork, which makes it basically in every way possible compatible with the existing Thorchain network. And one of the things that Thorchain is missing is interoperability with Cardano. So it's Thorchain in summary is a native cross-chain swapping network. It allows for swapping between these native assets without a smart contract or without some other side chain. It is actually its own network, and the validators essentially are multi-sig signing off on a multi-sig transaction to enable these swaps. One of the priorities of the Maya protocol team, as opposed to Thorchain, is to enable interoperability with Cardano. So what that will enable is native swaps between Bitcoin, Ethereum, all of the other blockchains that they support, and Cardano. And so the purpose of these 2 proposals, one of them is to build out the primitives on the Maya protocol side with the Maya team to actually enable these swaps and allow the network of Maya validators to sign off on these transactions, to validate the transactions on all of the respective networks, right? So there's a lot of kind of logic there that needs to be incorporated that's specialized to Cardano, but also then allows the other protocols, allows the interoperability as well with the other protocols. And then the next step is to actually build out the infrastructure and run validators and help bootstrap the Cardano side of this network. So those are basically the 2 kind of high-level initiatives here with the Maya team.
Yeah, what I love about this particular proposal, or this set of proposals, is the fact that it allows for us to circumvent some of these bigger centralized exchanges, right? So you no longer have to go to a platform like Coinbase, go to a platform like Binance. If you want to, take your Bitcoin and swap that over into Cardano natively, right, without any actual wrapped assets, you can use something like the Maya protocol to go ahead and do that. So as we get ready to kind of wind things down here with Maestro, I believe there's one more proposal, which you guys are actually collaborating with another project, which is going to be Vlad. Vlad from the zkFold team. So let me go ahead and bring Vlad up. And there we go. Do you guys maybe mind kind of talking about this very last proposal?
Yeah, sure. zkFold Prover covers the backend, the proving part of the smart contract protocol that we are building. So basically, in zk protocols, you have two algorithms: prove and verify. And the proving happens off chain, and this is how we can get done more stuff on chain, is by moving things off chain, and basically the smart contracts are proved off chain, either on the backend or in the web browser. But in this particular proposal, what we are proposing is to develop a backend component such that you can construct proofs for different zk protocols using the Maestro infrastructure. That's basically it.
Quick follow-up for Vardo or Marvin. How does Maestro fall into the puzzle here?
Yeah, I can take that one. So like Vlad said, this zkFold allows you to really expand the amount of compute that can be done by a smart contract by kind of decoupling the constraint of the scripts that we have. And so a lot of that compute is done off chain, and then you have to build complex zk proofs that then those are on chain. And so it keeps the on chain execution constant. And so that means you're moving a lot of that complex logic of executing a contract, which is much more computationally expensive, and doing that, building those proofs. And so this needs to be done by some provider. And it doesn't have to be just Maestro; it could be multiple providers. But yeah, Maestro is really keen in like helping push that scaling layer forward. And I think it gives us, we have a lot of like the experience and the background tools to build those provers in the backend and make it easy accessible to all our developers. We have a platform of many different people building dApps on our ecosystem, and this could be just another tool that we add to our platform that allows people to very quickly, within the same ecosystem, add zk-enabled smart contracts into the application, and hopefully kind of speed up the adoption process, right? Because the first step is building this new scaling layer, and then the second step is how quickly can we get people to use them and make it easily accessible to everyday developers that maybe don't understand zero knowledge proof, but want to leverage the power that it brings. And so we really want to help kind of accelerate that vision.
Thank you for the explanation there. I think that will do it here for Maestro. Thanks to Marvin and Varda. I appreciate the both of you guys jumping on here. I'm going to go ahead and take you guys down, and we're going to keep things going with Vlad and ZK Sync. So again, thank you to the both of you guys who are presenting Maestro. Now, for the ladies and gentlemen watching at home, for all the projects here that are going to be interviewed, I will be leaving the links to all of their proposals down below. So if you guys want to find out more about them, make sure to go ahead and check out the links in the description. Next up, we've got Vlad from zkFold. So zkFold has, I believe, 3 different proposals. There might actually be a 4th one here, but we've already touched on one of them with Maestro. The next one is going to be surrounding Encoins V2. Which we've actually kind of chatted a little bit about Encoins in the past. So I'll go and leave the link to that particular video down below. Do you mind quickly highlighting what Encoins is and what's coming with that particular proposal?
Yeah, sure. If you include Encoins, then we have 4 proposals from me. So Encoins V2 is basically the Encoins protocol the way it was imagined at the very beginning in our white paper, and what we bring is shielded accounts to Cardano, and the support for all kinds of basically for all native assets on Cardano. So and as well, we also be working on improving our front end quite dramatically by reducing the basically the number of buttons. It will become much simpler and easy to understand. And I believe that our team will be revealing the V2 interface very soon.
Thank you for that. I definitely did get a chance to play with the V1 version of the platform. Very interesting. I think it offers 2 pretty big use cases. Number one, when you don't want people to see, how much of an amount you're sending to somebody else. But then number 2, when you don't want for somebody to know whether something is actually coming from you through the utilization of, I believe, what you guys call the Encoins relayer. So I'll leave the official website down below for the viewers. Let's jump into this next proposal here, which is surrounding zkFold. So the remaining 2 here, I believe, should be surrounding zkFold specifically. One of them is called zkFold Symbolic, a zero-knowledge smart contract language. Do you mind explaining, what zkFold Symbolic is?
Yes, sure. So I was looking at the landscape of different languages that allow you to create zero-knowledge powered smart contracts. And what we found out is that basically there are low-level languages which require a lot of knowledge in zk cryptography from the developer side. Or there are also some high-level languages, but they all have certain disadvantages which we think will hinder the adoption. So in the end, we decided to build our own language for zero-knowledge smart contracts on Cardano. And this proposal is about that exactly. And so we focus on two things: on the simplicity. So we want to make it as high level as possible, so that the developers don't need to know anything about zero-knowledge cryptography. But at the same time, we want to make it extremely efficient, so that you could do all kinds of things, and in many cases they will be fast enough to be run in the browser. But for like more complex applications, you will need something like a backend that we are doing with Maestro.
Thank you for that. And I'm not an expert by any means when it comes to identifying the level of effort that it would take to actually develop a smart contracting language on its own. But I would assume that, everything that goes into this would be open source and available to the public. Is that correct?
Yes, for sure. Actually, all our proposals that we are putting for this round, they will be completely open source. And also one more thing that I want to add is that there is a potential for this language to be connected with other on-chain languages on Cardano, such as ICANN, PluTS, Plutarch, and so on. And so there is a possibility, if things work out and we get funded, that it will be possible to basically build your smart contract normally in one of those high-level smart contract languages, and then convert it to zk format that will be used then with our zk smart contract framework.
That's impressive to hear that. Again, it looks like you'll be able to leverage people's hard work that's been done in other languages and easily convert that over into zk Symbolic. Thank you for that there, Vlad. Let's jump into the very last proposal surrounding zkFold, which is the Fiat On ramp and off ramp in collaboration with Anastasia Labs. I think this could have a huge impact. We talked a little bit about the Maya protocol with Marvin and Vardo not too long ago, and how that allows for us to kind of circumvent some of these bigger players in centralized exchanges. But a Fiat on ramp and off ramp is just as important, right, as being able to do stuff on chain, within our own crypto land or crypto worlds. So do you mind kind of highlighting, the importance of this particular partnership, as well as the importance of just the Fiat on ramp and off ramp proposal?
Yeah, sure. I'm very excited about this proposal. So we are building it together with our Encoins team and with Anastasia Labs. And what it will enable is probably many viewers know that you could do a peer-to-peer. You can buy crypto peer-to-peer using some centralized exchanges, and in this case they act as kind of an escrow. So basically they guarantee that these transactions come through. But with zk technology, what you can do is you can prove that, for example, you made a fiat transfer to a particular account, and we could create a smart contract that basically that will act as an escrow. So the way it works is the crypto seller deposits funds into the smart contract, and crypto buyer pays in fiat using the option that is accepted by the crypto seller. Then the buyer needs to obtain some kind of a signature from the fiat payment system. It could be in the form of like a communication with an API endpoint, or maybe an email message signed by the Fiat payment system. And then from this message, you can construct a zero-knowledge proof that you have received it. So that means that you've made the transfer. So you can unlock the funds, the crypto from the smart contract. And so that's basically why we call it trustless peer-to-peer on-ramp, because there are no intermediaries here. There's just a crypto seller and a crypto buyer, and they are able to do the transactions without trusting each other.
Yeah, that's really impressive to hear. I think again, this opens up a huge use case for crypto, and this opens up a huge gateway for people that want to come into crypto without necessarily having to go through a centralized exchange. I'd love to sit down with you to talk a little bit more about just the regulation and everything else that's going to kind of go into the smart contract side of things. But I think that's going to do it here for just these brief couple of minutes to kind of dive into everything that the zkFold team has to offer, including Encoins V2. So Vlad, I look forward to having you back on the channel, talk a little bit more about not only Encoins, but also talk a little bit more about zkFold. Wishing you all the best in this latest round of Project Catalyst. That will do it here, ladies and gentlemen. Like I mentioned before, I will be leaving the links to all these proposals down below. But next, we're going to go ahead and bring up Matteo to chat a little bit more about Fluid tokens. Take care, Vlad.
Thank you, Vlad.
Matteo, welcome aboard. How are you?
Hey, I'm good. Listening to all the proposals again, even if I've read them many times already.
Yeah, I mean,
it's always good.
It is. It really is. And for me as a content creator, I try to do my best to dive into all of them to see exactly what they have to offer. And when you hear directly from the actual people that wrote the proposals, the passion, but then just the amount of understanding that they have, I think has been really helpful for me to get just more familiar with everything that you guys are building. Now, people that are watching my channel definitely not hearing about Fluid tokens for the first time. I mentioned this before. I recently had you on for an interview surrounding boots of staking, but then also surrounding stable coins here on Cardano. So Fluid tokens is really kind of putting their hands everywhere now. You guys started as a lending and borrowing platform, but you're now also dealing with smart contracts to replicate, the account model on Ethereum. And then most notably, a proposal coming out here for what I believe is going to be Babel fees here on Cardano or gasless transactions. So, can you jump into that and break down exactly what is Fluid tokens bringing to the Cardano community?
Right, very happily. So Aquarium is a service, a protocol that we are building, which allows people to execute transaction on Cardano, but without having to pay fees. So in ADA, you can either not pay fee at all or pay them with custom tokens or even NFTs, depending on the application that you're using at that moment, which Dapp you're using. So it's a decentralized network that allows people to execute transaction without holding any ADA in the wallets. And this is super important for any kind of application that comes from the traditional world, so the Web 2, and they want maybe, for example, to transact with stable coins and not having to manage ADA at all, because otherwise for the user it becomes more complex because he has to know what ADA is, where to get it, etc. And this decentralized network revolves around the idea of fee tanks. So basically project, even single people, so anybody, can create tanks that allow the conversion, the easy conversion of any custom token that they decide to support with ADA. So basically they are the middleman to execute this transaction without ADA as fees. And this decentralized network of validators that have the task to forward this transaction allow also to create transactions that are programmed in a decentralized way. So they will be triggered at the correct time or in certain conditions. And this also includes, for example, actions on DEXs. So any kind of batchers that now is, for example, centralized in some DEXs, it can be completely decentralized. People can decide to run the correct transactions, plan them, and just wait, and Aquarium will do the rest for them. So this is more or less the first part, the one that we propose in the Catalyst. about Aquarium as a service that is probably useful for many different use cases, and the most important one is hiding the complexity of the blockchain to the average user.
So I really like this idea. I know that this has been something that, IOG and just a lot of other members in the community have been trying to solve. And it's interesting to see that, you guys have a potential solution. Maybe let's just kind of walk through the process from an end user's perspective, right? So I, am used to opening up my Nami wallet. I've got my Cardano in there, or I got my Cardano native assets in there. Typically, if I want to send that to somebody, I would just enter the amount, and then I got my amount that I'm sending, followed by the actual transaction fee. Where does Aquarium come into this? Am I still going to be going through that same process of actually signing and submitting it? Kind of maybe just break down the more technical parts of how that actual transaction goes from point A to point B, and exactly where that validator in the middle is paying utilizing the fee tank.
Right. So there are two entry points for Aquarium to use Aquarium. One is the most obvious one, which is the Dapp itself. So when you are going to execute a transaction on an application, instead of having to pay the fees, the application will manage it, and you will probably pay in some other native coins that the application itself supports, or even nothing, because the application itself is sponsoring the transaction fees for you, hiding this extra step of ADA in your wallet. The other entry point is the wallet itself. Any wallet can integrate Aquarium inside and allow people to say, oh, you don't have ADA, or maybe you have other coins inside the wallet, and we support them. This is the fee you would pay for this transaction with the custom tokens instead of ADA, and they will allow you to do it directly from the wallet if you want to send to someone specific. Otherwise, interacting with the Dapp will be more common, because the Dapp itself has an objective and probably wants to simplify your experience on the Dapp itself. So the user will basically sign the transaction, but it won't send it. The signed transaction will be forwarded to the decentralized network of Aquarium, and following an algorithm, these validators will decide who will forward it to the actual blockchain network, to the Cardano network.
Perfect. You touched on it there. I think it was the forwarding piece that I was trying to better understand. And then, as you mentioned, the two entry points, right? Wallet providers potentially integrating that to allow for people to pay with any sort of CNT that they value, but then also dApps being able to provide that service, to potentially draw in more customers, saying, hey, if you utilize our platform and, you generate a lot of traffic, come to us. We'll actually take care of these if you're, a valued customer or a valued user on our protocol. I think I see a lot of use cases here. I've got one more question. So with the actual fee tanks themselves, what can be used to top up the fee tank? I mean, obviously, I think ADA would be kind of like the first choice, right? Because if you're paying for that fee in ADA, then the fee tank has to be set up in ADA to be able to make that possible for somebody else. But is there maybe some way to have like some sort of secondhand conversion where you provide some sort of Cardano native asset in the fee tank, which I think you actually kind of mentioned before, right? So maybe kind of touch on that a little bit as well, if you don't mind.
Right. So the basic version, the most simple one, has a series of tanks made by users and by project apps themselves. And these tanks contain ADA, because it's the ADA that you will use to pay the user's fees for the transaction, right? And you set the parameters. You say, okay, I will send my ADA only to this particular project, so this particular Dapp, and not to anybody, or only to when the transaction goes to a certain address, or only with this at this time, etc., etc. But evolutions of these allow basically to combine the tanks, right? You can say, okay, the first tank accepts USDM and it has ADA inside. And the second tank says, accept USDM and has another fungible tokens on Cardano. For example, FLDT, let's say from free tokens, so I can easy example. So the whole process will go from, you will pay in FLDT, but actually taking the stablecoin, the USDM, inside the first tank, that will also go into the second tank and will actually take the ADA there. So it's a kind of chain of tanks there that can be complex as much as you want.
Yeah, really interesting process. And if I'm not mistaken, you guys do have a working demo that's on the testnet. Is that correct?
Yes, it's a working demo that is on the link of the Catalyst proposal, but it's very simple because not the actual Aquarium part, but the smart contract that we are interacting with. It was very dumb, like just to try the idea, and it shows that it works. We can easily do it already, so it's just a matter of time and effort to do it. But I think it's super important because what we are trying to do is to create solution on the blockchain that don't tell people that they're using blockchain behind, so average people in the real world can use them.
Yeah, I think that's the mission, right? To integrate crypto into everything that we utilize daily without actually knowing that you're interacting with the blockchain, whether it's Cardano, Bitcoin, Ethereum, etc. So Matteo, thank you very much. I'll go ahead and leave the links to...
Thank you.
No, you're welcome. It's my pleasure. I'll go ahead and leave the links to your proposal down below, as well as the testnet for anybody who wants to go ahead and begin to play around with the aquarium. That will do it here. Let me go ahead and bring up the last guest here for today's breakdown of Project Catalyst proposals. And that's going to be Guido and Magic Flow from the official DropSpot platform. Welcome aboard, gentlemen. Thank you for being so patient as a part of today's video.
No problem.
No, welcome. I think the sun's come up since we started this interview, so it's much better light, mate. I'm appreciating it.
We'll take it as a positive. We'll take it as a positive.
Yeah.
All right. Thank you both for joining me here. You know, we've talked a little bit about what DropSpot is doing. They're an NFT marketplace here on Cardano. You guys also offer Launchpad services. As a part of Project Catalyst, what are you guys bringing to the table?
Yeah, look, it's probably a good thing to frame our proposal before moving straight into that. But ultimately, we have put forward a proposal under the product category, which, look, if you read the description, it's for the more mature, already existing dApps or organizations on Cardano. And look, ultimately, what we put forward is basically a proposal asking the community to subsidize somewhat our roadmap. Historically, DropSpot, we've made a name for ourselves for innovating in the space. A couple of the key features last year that we developed, which did become well known, was our liquid offers, which was a key innovation in the Cardano space, and that effectively allowed anybody to make an offer on an NFT within the ecosystem and keep that ADA staked, whilst also being able to make that offer with that same amount of ADA across many NFTs, offering a lot more flexibility to the audience. Additionally, we've also, as part of our Launchpad, we were the first to build a smart contract minting engine, and that was on both SIP 25 and SIP 68. I forgot the SIP 25 right, but anyway, so that was for both protocols. It was basically the positive thing around minting via smart contracts is that we actually lend or take a lot of guarantees from chain through the mint, and so it ends up distributing, I guess, the risk or making it a lot more decentralized in respect to how mints happen, you know, through the live the minting phase. So ultimately, bringing it back to our proposal, what we are asking for is effectively the community to subsidize our approach, to subsidize our roadmap somewhat, so that we can continue to deliver and innovate in marketplace features. And we're happy to talk about a few of those as well, but I'll pass it back.
No, I think that's huge. I want to jump into, and I think one of the things that you mentioned there was some of the features, right? So you guys provide additional features that you may not see on other places. And I think one of the key things that I've heard when it comes to this marketplace on Cardano is the problem with, number one, aggregation. So I take it back, two issues: aggregation, right? Being able to potentially list an NFT on multiple marketplaces, but then issues with the actual bidding, which I think you guys kind of have touched on with your liquid offers. You know, just moving forward in terms of a marketplace, you guys probably all have a perspective that I don't have as a content creator, but like, what are some potential issues that you guys see with the space, and how could Project Catalyst be used to fix some of those issues with respect to the NFT markets and just marketplaces in general?
No, it's a really good question, and I'll answer that in two parts, right? So, number one, as an ecosystem, coming from the top of the market down through the bear, the NFT marketplace or ecosystem in general for Cardano has been non-commercial, right? So, number one, we do need that assistance. A lot of everything that we've done at DropSpot to date has been effectively self-funded. We haven't launched our own NFT series yet. This is our first material proposal to Catalyst. So number one, we're sort of framing it like that. Number two, you mentioned aggregation and issues and some of the problems that we're looking to solve for the general marketplace. And you use the right word and you hit the nail on the head. One of the key features that we delivered late last year, and we're in the process now of rolling out to a few projects at the moment, and there's a lot stacking up looking for this feature, is our marketplace out of the box. And that is a one-line embeddable into project websites. The technical person from any project would have been able to implement that on their website, in the sentence that I've just actually described it. So it is a very quick feature. What that does do is leverage on top of our aggregation engine. So something that we have done and other projects might not be as incentivized to do is actually aggregate up each of the marketplaces and to be able to understand how those smart contracts are constructed, number one, but also to transact with those. Now, similar to some of the proposals that you heard earlier, there is definitely this, this line of thinking that's matured within Cardano, where we are looking to white label or lift up the work that we've done and make that accessible to other projects. And so what this marketplace in a box does is, as I said, it leverages off our aggregator. So every marketplace that exists there will be able to buy, sell, or list those NFTs within a project site. But what that's also going to enable us to do is open up those features to the gaming world, which, like right now, have been, any project that we speak to is screaming for the ability to integrate the marketplace features or being able to purchase in-game assets easily. And that's something that's, we're getting to and first off on the roadmap, and we're really excited to start rolling that out.
Yeah, this is the first time that I'm hearing about this marketplace in a box. But what that reminds me of are other similar protocols that have taken this approach, right, where they're allowing to integrate, right, their product into locations where their partners are working, right? And I think the biggest thing, for example, has been Dex Hunter. We've seen them partnering up with a lot of protocols where Tap Tools now has a little widget where you can quickly make a swap there. JPEG Store has a little pop-up where you can make a swap there.
Yeah.
The Working Dead, all these different platforms have integrated. And I could see that being done with the marketplace as well. The need is definitely there. For example, a big gaming project that I personally like is Cornucopias. If I could go to the Cornucopias website and right there from the actual website be able to make a purchase and purchase an NFT, I think that would be huge. And of course, there's countless projects that I think could benefit from this, right? Basically, any project that has an NFT collection could plug and play, the marketplace in a box somewhere on their hub page. And for an end user, that kind of reduces the barrier to entry for a particular NFT collection. You no longer have to jump from one website to another website, et cetera. So really interesting proposition. I would love to see that come into Cardano. Now, there is a proposal here, and I'm not sure if this is one that you touched on earlier, which is focusing on scaling, right, and just the adoption of the DropSpot platform. Do you guys mind highlighting, what the contents of that proposal are?
Yeah, I'll grab this one. Look, the proposal is we've got a quite aggressive roadmap. I think DropSpot's been really known for innovating and developing a lot of really great features. We had some, we developed, probably the greatest search, I think, through any marketplace. We also focused on, building features like liquid offers, our Halo minting engine, as Simon sort of presented before, which is the first smart contract-based minting engine. But for us to continue to develop, as Simon mentioned, DropSpot has been self-funded for the last couple of years. This is our first serious Catalyst proposal. We see ourselves as bringing really healthy competition to the marketplace. Look, JPEG Store, as you mentioned, who you mentioned before, they have been a dominant player, and we feel that we have a responsibility to the community to keep really driving competition and driving innovation and creating new features. That hasn't always been easy when it's self-funded. So our proposal is to be able to roll features out, continue to roll features out like the marketplace in a box. We also have some other features coming up, which is kind of like an any token purchase feature, which we're working on too. So the proposal is really just to help us continue to scale and drive innovation and also, drive those new features that we've been working on.
Yeah, I tend to agree that competition allows for the best to rise to the top, right? And that's just in any business. I'm talking even outside of crypto. The reason why we're able to live in the world that we live in right now is because of competition. If everybody would just kind of got along and there was no competition, I don't think we'd ever really see innovation. So I can definitely get behind that as well. For anybody who's maybe hearing about DropSpot for the very first time, to either Guido or Magic Flow, how can they get involved with your community?
Look, we're always happy to collaborate. We've been known for that. We've spoken. The CNFT marketplace is not huge as compared to cross chain, like sort of either ETH or Sol. But we work closely with projects. If you've got something that you want to work on, just reach out to us. We're really easy to contact. If you've got ideas for how you might be able to accelerate your project, we really see ourselves as kind of developers within the ecosystem as well. And, I think that is testament by us making things like Marketplace in a Box available to projects so that, you don't have to toggle between sites. So any innovation that you can think of, just reach out and contact us. I think you can reach us via the page or just info@dropspot.io, and we'll be able to help.
Thank you, gentlemen. As always, I'll go ahead and link the links to both of their proposals down below as a part of today's video description. I think that'll do it here. Guido and Magic Flow, thank you both for coming up here and representing DropSpot. I'd love to have you guys on here for an additional interview focusing all on what you guys have already done and what you guys plan on doing for the year of 2024. That said, thank you guys again.
Thanks so much.
Absolute pleasure. Thanks so much for having us.
Thank you both. Thank you both. Okay, so I think that will do it here for today's video, highlighting 4 huge projects contributing to Cardano. First, we started off with Vardo and Marvin talking about Maestro, followed by zkFold represented by Vlad, and then we jumped into some news surrounding Babel fees with Fluid Tokens and Mateo. Last but not least, you guys just got done hearing from Guido and Magic Flow representing DropSpot. So as I mentioned earlier, Catalyst is open right now. It is voting season. If you've already registered either as a part of funding round number 10 or you just recently registered as a part of funding round number 11, make sure to go ahead and utilize the next week in order to go ahead and make sure that your voice is heard by actually voting through the Catalyst app. That said, ladies and gentlemen, if you guys found any portion of today's video to be helpful, I would really appreciate you if you could smash that thumbs up. If it's your first time stopping by Dapp Central and you want more content like this, highlighting all the great builders here in Cardano, consider subscribing. And last but not least, if you have any questions for me surrounding Maestro or just even for the Maestro team, right, or zkFold, Fluid Tokens, or DropSpot, then please make sure to go ahead and leave those down below in the comment section. That said, and as always, I will see you guys in the next video.